Right now, somewhere in America, a person finishes work. They close their laptop, walk to their car, and drive past restaurants they cannot sit in without buying something. They pass sidewalks that end for no reason, apartment buildings where nobody knows each other, and houses with garage doors that open, swallow a car, and close again. Then they go home. They eat, they scroll. They maybe text someone they have not seen in months. By 10 p.m., they feel lonely in a way they cannot explain, because technically, they are connected to everyone. They have contacts, group chats, followers, co-workers, and apps that can deliver food, entertainment, romance, and conversation to a rectangle in their hand. But they have nowhere to go. Not nowhere because America is empty. Nowhere because almost every place outside the home has become private, expensive, or transactional. You can go to work. You can go home. You can go somewhere and spend money. But the older kind of place, the place where you could simply exist around other people without a plan, is disappearing. And one man saw it coming. In 1989, an American sociologist named Ray Oldenburg published The Great Good Place. In it, he gave a name to something so ordinary that most people had never thought to name it. He said every person has a first place. That is home. Then a second place. That is work. But healthy communities also need a third place. A third place can be a coffee shop, bar, library, diner, barber shop, park bench, church basement, or front porch. The building does not matter as much as the behavior inside it. A third place is where people show up regularly without needing a formal reason. It is close enough to visit often, cheap enough that money does not decide who belongs, informal enough that nobody has to perform. It has regulars, but it does not feel like a private club. Conversation is the main activity, even when nobody is trying to have one. Oldenburg believed these places were not luxuries. They were social organs. They were how a town breathed. And, for a long time, America had them everywhere. Small towns had general stores, diners, barber shops, bowling leagues, church potlucks, local bars, and porches facing the street. Cities had stoops, corner stores, public parks, neighborhood cafes, libraries, and sidewalks, crowded enough that you could become familiar with strangers without ever learning their names. You did not have to schedule community. You walked into it. Then America redesigned itself so that walking into community became almost impossible. After World War II, the American dream changed shape. The goal became the detached house, the private yard, the two-car garage, the quiet street far from noise, strangers, and shops. On paper, it looked like paradise. More space, more privacy, more safety, more control. But there was a hidden cost. When homes moved farther apart, daily life stretched out. Stores moved away from neighborhoods. Schools moved away from homes. Work moved away from everything. Zoning laws separated where people lived from where they bought food, worked, relaxed, and gathered. The car became the hallway of American life. If you wanted milk, you drove. If a child wanted to see a friend, someone drove them. If a teenager wanted to exist in public, they needed permission, gasoline, and a destination that would not kick them out for loitering. The suburb did not destroy community by hating it. It destroyed community by making casual interaction require effort. And when interaction requires effort, people do less of it. This is the part modern people underestimate. Friendship does not usually begin with a deep conversation. It begins with proximity. You see the same person again and again, at the same counter, at the same bus stop, at the same gym, at the same library table, at the same park. At first, nothing happens. Then a nod. Then a comment about the weather. Then a joke. Then, one day, this person is part of your life, even though you never made a plan for them to enter it. That is how humans build belonging. Repetition before intimacy. Familiarity before friendship. Third places create that repetition. Without them, every relationship has to be deliberately maintained. Every hangout has to be planned. Every friendship becomes a calendar event. Every lonely person is told to just reach out, as if reaching out is easy when there is no shared place to reach into. In 1995, Political scientist Robert Putnam published an essay called Bowling Alone. Later, he expanded it into a book. The title came from a strange pattern. Americans were still bowling, but bowling leagues were shrinking. The game survived. The social structure around the game was fading. Putnam was not really writing about bowling. He was writing about civic life. Clubs, associations, unions, churches, PTAs, volunteer groups, neighborhood committees, all the boring little institutions that used to pull people out of private life and place them next to other people. They were declining. And when those places declined, something invisible declined with them. Trust, obligation, casual friendship. The feeling that the people around you were not just strangers, but part of the same world. This is what made the loss so hard to notice. Nobody announced that community had been canceled. Nobody banned hanging out. Nobody made friendship illegal. The buildings were still there. The roads were still there. The people were still there. But the spaces between people quietly disappeared. The front porch became the backyard deck. The sidewalk became the driveway. The local diner became a chain restaurant. The mall became the town square, then slowly became a hollow building filled with stores nobody needed. The coffee shop became a laptop farm where everyone sits together and speaks to no one. Then the internet arrived at the perfect moment. For a while, it looked like the missing third place had moved online. Message boards, chat rooms, multiplayer games, Discord servers, group chats. And some of these places really do matter, but they do not fully replace physical third places, because a real third place makes you share reality with people who were not perfectly chosen for you. You do not get to filter everyone in a diner. You do not get to mute the old man at the barber shop. You do not get to optimize the librarian. You do not get to algorithmically replace the woman who talks too much about her garden. You have to tolerate ordinary difference. Different ages, different jobs, different politics, different moods, different lives. That sounds inefficient, and it is. But it is also how a society learns to stay human. Online, you can find people exactly like you. In a third place, you learn how to live near people who are not. And this may be why modern loneliness feels so strange. It is not always the absence of people. It is the absence of low-pressure belonging. In 2023, the U.S. Surgeon General released an advisory on loneliness and isolation, warning that social disconnection had become a serious public health issue. Approximately half of American adults reported experiencing loneliness. But loneliness is not just wanting a best friend. Sometimes loneliness is not knowing the name of anyone on your street. It is having nobody to casually run into. It is needing a reason before you can be around other people. It is realizing that the only humans you see regularly are paid to be there. The cashier, the delivery driver, the co-worker, the therapist, the server, the person cutting your hair. Even kindness becomes transactional when every room has a receipt attached to it. This is the problem with replacing third places with businesses. A business can host community, but it cannot be community by itself. Because the moment money becomes the ticket to stay, the place changes. A cafe can feel warm, but if you have to buy something every time you want to sit down, it is not truly neutral ground. A gym can create routine, but if membership decides who enters, it is not open to everyone. A restaurant can be social, but if staying longer than the meal makes you feel guilty, the clock is already running. The old third place did not need you to be productive. The modern place usually does. Buy something, work on something, network with someone, improve your body, build your brand, take a photo, become someone worth inviting. No wonder people are exhausted. They are not just lonely. They are tired of having to justify their presence everywhere they go. And here is the part nobody wants to admit. A society without third places turns the home into a bunker and the workplace into a social life. For many adults, work is the last place where they see the same people repeatedly, without having to plan it themselves. But work is a terrible substitute for community. Because work has hierarchy. Work has performance. Work has consequences. You cannot fully relax around people who can fire you, evaluate you, compete with you, or turn your personality into a professional liability. So people search for belonging in the one place that was never designed to give it freely. Then they go home and wonder why they feel empty. Oldenburg thought the third place mattered because democracy itself depends on informal public life. Not speeches, not campaigns, not patriotic slogans, ordinary contact. People need places where they can talk before they agree. Places where they can disagree without disappearing into separate realities. Places where a person is not reduced to a profile, a party, a job title, or a market segment. Without those places, society becomes brittle. Everyone retreats into private life, then into digital life, then into suspicion. Strangers stop being potential neighbors and become threats, obstacles, or content. But this is not a story about nostalgia. Old America was not perfect. Many third places excluded people who did not fit the local idea of belonging. Some communities were warm only if you were the right kind of person. So the answer is not to worship the past. The answer is to understand what the past accidentally got right, then build a better version on purpose. Libraries that do not require you to buy anything. Parks with benches that invite people to stay. Streets safe enough to walk without a car. Community centers that are open when working, people are free. Cafes that do not treat lingering like theft. The missing thing is not complicated. It is repeated, low-pressure contact in a place that does not demand much from you. That is it. That is the social technology humans keep reinventing and modern. America keeps forgetting. So if you feel like making friends has become strangely hard, maybe nothing is wrong with you. Maybe you are trying to build a human life without the places human life was built inside. Maybe loneliness is not just a feeling. Maybe it is architecture. Maybe it is zoning. Maybe it is the price of coffee, the width of roads, the death of sidewalks, the disappearance of benches, the closing of libraries, the garage door, the algorithm, the calendar, the quiet conversion of every human, gathering place into something that must pay rent. Americans did not forget how to belong. They were given fewer and fewer places where belonging could happen naturally. And now millions of people sit alone in private rooms, holding devices that can reach the entire planet, wondering why they have nobody to talk to. The tragedy is not that people do not want community anymore. They do. They are starving for it. The tragedy is that we built a world where community has to be scheduled, purchased, or searched for like a product. A third place is the opposite of that. It is the place you go for no reason, and somehow, over time, it gives you one. You do not walk in looking for the meaning of life. You walk in because it is Tuesday, because the chair is open, because the same people are there, because outside your home and outside your work, there is still one small corner of the world where your presence does not need an explanation. That is what disappeared. Not friendship, not conversation, not even community, the place that made them easy. And you cannot replace that with an app. You cannot deliver it to your door. You cannot optimize it into existence. You have to build it, protect it, fund it, walk to it, sit in it, and keep showing up until the strangers stop feeling like strangers. You did not lose your social skills. You lost the room they were supposed to grow in.